I think I owe an apology to my friend Robbie for saying turn-based RPGs aren't my jam anymore because, and I do not say this lightly, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is one of the greatest RPG fantasy games I have ever played. It's also exceedingly French. It's full of artistic strokes and deeply winding stories. Fully embracing its influences and filling them with their own flair to build something entirely new, Expedition 33's adventure is nothing short of astonishingly good. Dropping you in the middle of a refreshingly original world, devoid of any context, you are sent down a path that leads to one of the best openings to a game I have played in a while. These opening hours simultaneously set the world and stakes up while very quickly getting you into the fight, allowing you to both familiarize yourself with the universe and the combat. Look, you're straight up not ready for the experience of Clair Obscur. The team at Sandfall have taken what is a genre steeped in lore dumps and slow-moving plots and eagerly leaped over those tropes to deliver a tale of grief and of resistance with confidently executed twists and turns. Its turn-based RPG combat throws in real-time defensive options and is an exhilarating, addicting loop of learning enemies' movesets and executing beautifully animated moves of your own. As I set out for the ominous obelisk that marred the horizon of this world, I was excited to discover what truth lies at the heart of it all.
Tomorrow comes. Thanks to you. Expedition 33.
Clair Obscur's world is a wonderfully creative one. It's full of vibrant and extraordinary locations, but also an incredibly bleak place to live. Our key players are part of the city of Lumiere, a last refuge for those affected by something called the Fracture. They live their melancholic lives under the oppressive and mysterious power of the Paintress, who with her giant obelisk dominate the horizon of the continent. Each year she paints a number on that gigantic black stone that counts down, declaring the maximum lifespan of Lumiere's people. She then returns to a weeping-like pose, awaiting for the next year's number. From the moment people realized what the deal with the numbers was, they began to organize groups to go out on annual expeditions, seeking to undo this injustice by destroying the Paintress herself. We arrive as the 33rd expedition is heading out, hoping that with newly invented technology and the will of their people that they can find some resolution to this plague. Sandfall has woven an incredibly gripping tale, whose setup is expertly executed, perhaps more importantly, who successfully carries its themes consistently towards a shocking end.
Shock's worn off. A bit. We can't bring anyone back. But I thought we can keep their spirit alive by pushing forward.
To quote Will Smith in his iconic role,
What, we some kind of suicide squad?
and yeah, basically. I mean, because based on all we know of the expeditions that set out before, this is just straight up a suicide mission. But our team is persistent, and riding along this adventure with them is an emotional roller coaster. The game is an exploration of mortality, what it means to be alive, what the purpose of life is in the first place, and how valuable our short time on this planet is. But above all else, it's about the different ways that we handle grief. There's a sort of morbid saying amongst the expeditioner.
When one falls, we continue.
It's meant to inspire the team to move forward no matter what happens. But despite its aspirations as an inspirational quote, the phrase is a pitch-black way of saying, we're all likely gonna die here, but if even one of us succeeds, at least it won't have been in vain. That bleakness is apparent within even the early levels, where you find the stony statued bodies of former expeditions and begin to understand what the toll of this plight has been on this world. Or if you're kind of a bad person like I am, you might be thinking of the Captain Price quote,
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
From Modern Warfare 2. Either way, it puts one of the other common expressions used by the expeditioners, light the path for those who come after, into perspective. The 33rd expedition's journey is a deeply emotional one, often tainted by fear and dread. But just as frequently, it's full of jokes right when you need them. There's strange characters and locations and shocking moments of heartbreak. Our team may be small, but that allows us more time to spend together and grow, which the game handles flawlessly, granting us more than enough time to learn their backstories, find out what the source of their motivation is, and connect with them on some very deep personal levels. I'm being incredibly careful because I truly do not want to spoil anything for you, but every character is written exceptionally well and brought to life by the staggering list of talented voice actors such as Charlie Cox and Jennifer English. What I love most about the setup and the confident narrative is that it is completely unafraid to ask hard questions. Why would people with such dramatically short lives ever spend time worrying about the past? If time is so short, then every moment has to be a push towards your end goal, right? And how many lives is a brighter future for someone else worth? Up against a field of other RPGs that make their slow-trotting story stretch before they ever really get going, Clair Obscur throws caution to the wind and moves with speed and purpose while still leaving room for you to explore this bizarre world of French art brushstrokes. If you're just here for the main storyline, you can completely mainline that, but my lord, especially in the latter half of the game, there is so much richly rewarding side content to enjoy. I can't stress enough how well put together this universe is. Side characters that act as basically transportation offer lovely asides, and the narrative kept me second guessing everything I thought I knew throughout my time on the continent. I think one of the most important parts of what this game does is not overstay its welcome. Clocking in at about 35-ish hours for me to finish the main storyline, it was the perfect size RPG for me. That being said, if you, like I, have been coddled by the likes of mini-maps and compasses to help guide you in other games, you'll find the exploration of Expedition 33 to be far more, let's say, memory-based. Most areas present a fairly linear section to adventure through, with the occasional offshoots for exploring and beating the shirt off of some mimes. However, some of the later areas can get pretty in-depth, meaning you'll have to think like an expeditioner who's also seeing this for the first time.
I will never join you again.
There will be a lot of fighting, though.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's true.
There will be a lot of fights.
Exactly.
Count me in then.
Good.
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 Yes, good.
Lumbering around these gorgeously crafted levels are Nevrons, monstrous collections of chromatic energy. Crossing blades with these fiends can be daunting, but let me assure you, taking them down is a rush. I met every fight with eager eyes, ready to download my enemies' moves to be able to perfectly counter them. Every Nevron enemy is unique with its own dastardly cadence. Normally, turn-based RPGs kill me with their slow, methodical pace that turns combat into a slog, but I shit you not, Clair Obscur's combat, while not frustration-free, was a blast from start to finish every single fight. I was so enamored with the battle system that, like a drunk uncle at a family get-together, I was walking around looking for fights. Mechanically, this game's fights aren't complicated, but there is a much deeper level of complexity just below the surface. Turns are doled out in terms of speed, meaning that faster characters get to play more often. Most of the combat is set to turn-based attacks that can be enhanced with a well-timed button press and a quick-time-like event. What gives Clair Obscur that je ne sais quoi is the inclusion of timing-based defensive moves. Find the right timing and you can dodge to avoid damage, parry, and counterattack to return the damage to its sender, or, in certain moments, leap over a sweeping blow to deliver a punchy rebuttal. Combat is where Clair Obscur wears its love of Japanese RPGs most proudly, creating this viscerally engaging combat full of over-the-top animations and dopamine-boosting sound design that feel like home if you grew up on those old-school games. The challenge in combat isn't just to make big numbers go up, though that is part of it. It's mastering the patterns of your foe. Perfectly timing a series of counters to deliver that final devastating blow will make you feel like a newborn god just discovering their power. And mastering this is just the first step to ascending beyond the chroma pack creatures and into the later game's combat scenarios. Dodging is also a valid exercise, allowing you to skirt by without taking a hit. I mostly used dodging for whenever I wasn't confident that I could parry something, or to learn a new enemy's dance. On the other side of these battles is the strategy of your team. Enemies have weaknesses and resistance that can be exploited and avoided to maximize damage. Status effects such as burn can help quickly build up damage over time, stacking to deliver a massive amount of damage all at once. Alongside these are Pictos, a sort of stored buff that may offer you an advantage in combat. Once you win 4 battles with one of these Pictos equipped, they become equipable to all party members, which you can increase the number of Pictos that you have equipped by expanding your Lumina points. It sounds more complicated than it really is, but it is a wonderful system. This balance of perks and drawbacks makes the later game a thrill to dive into. Not to mention, every party member comes with their own unique ability. Mael, for instance, has stances that change her attack and defense values while unlocking additional effects for executing moves while in the proper stance. These clashes against some of the towering bosses become like dances, a trading of movement and skills that results in a decisive final thrust at the end of the fight. A rare example of turn-based RPG whose combat is simply never going to stop being fun.
The mission hasn't changed.
Tomorrow comes.
Tomorrow comes.
As confident and fully enthralling as the narrative and combat are, I think what pulled me in the most is the art direction and soundtrack. Clair Obscur is its own aesthetic, and that aesthetic is unbelievably unique French brushstrokes, creating a world that rides the line between the realism of its actors and the surrealism of its location. There are gorgeous environments like a forest of coral where bubbles permeate the air and whales float effortlessly through the sky that are standouts. I loved walking through a war-torn field that felt littered with as much history as it was bodies. The overworld map whenever you're traveling between locations is also adorable. It's dioramic in nature, giving a sort of off-kilter scale for everything, but one that still pits the little Expedition 33 against the massive size of the beasts of this world. I think the thing that set the tone even better than the wonderfully unorthodox monster designs and jaw-dropping locations is the soundtrack. Gentle piano and orchestral music backed by haunting vocals set a melancholic tone, but hidden amongst that pain and sadness is a sweetness that longs for peace. You can hear it in the lighter moments when our heroes are bonding and cracking wise. Pulsating beats and lively accordion accompany many of the battle themes, especially against some of the game's goofier foes. Having listened to the soundtrack a few dozen times and listening to it right now while writing this, I loved just about every track, and having it as a collectible that you could unlock for your campsite was a great way to let players sit and enjoy their favorites from the game. The soundtrack nails every tone at just the right time, and has easily ascended to the top tier of my game soundtrack list. Expedition 33 is a phenomenal game. It stands out through its commitment to making something new from the influences it so apparently loves, taking the best of what worked and building off it with original beats. While the monsters that lurk are the deadly forces you must overcome in-game, Expedition 33 is about so much more than just fighting evil. It's about fighting your inner demons of fear, of loss, pain, of the existential dread of your own mortality. Sandfall has made a game that effortlessly shines with a new artistic expression and yet feels like coming home for so many RPG fans. It doesn't overstay its welcome, and its poignant narrative sticks the landing whenever you least expect it. I was happy to reach its conclusion, but sad to be leaving my team behind. Clair Obscur is easily one of the best RPGs I've ever played, and it more than earns a 10 out of 10 from me. It is a true masterpiece. I look forward to seeing what Sandfall does next. For Hardwired, I'm Andrew Hamilton.
Clair Obscur.